lecture for European fiction. ഇതിനാദ്യം ഒരു lecture ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നെന്ന് എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നു. So I'll be dealing with 2 novels from this particular paper. ഈ പേപ്പറിൽ 2 novels ആണ് ഞാൻ എടുക്കുന്നത്. The first one is Thomas Mann's Death in Venice എന്ന് പറയുന്ന novel, and the second one is Soba the Greek, which is written by a Crete writer, that is Nikos Kazantzakis. Are you familiar with Soba the Greek? Soba the Greek നിങ്ങൾ ചിലപ്പോൾ BA English പഠിച്ചവരാണെങ്കിൽ you might be familiar with it because you have studied in world classics. World classics എന്ന് പറയുന്ന പേപ്പറിൽ BA നിങ്ങൾ പഠിച്ചതാണ്. Otherwise I'll give you the entire thing in a capsule module. ഞാൻ ഏറ്റവും ലളിതമായിട്ടുള്ള രീതിയിൽ പറഞ്ഞു തരാൻ ശ്രമിക്കാം. If you have any question, പഠിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്. Okay, great. So do let me know if you have any questions or if you have any doubts. എന്തെങ്കിലും ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ചാറ്റിൽ പറയുക. ചാറ്റിൽ പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഞാൻ അതിനനുസരിച്ച് ചെയ്യാം. ഇന്ന് 2 നോവലാണ് എടുക്കാനുള്ളത്, Death in Venice and Soba the Greek. So they are great novels. They are considered to be the classics of English literature. So we have to European fiction അകത്ത് വരുന്നതാണ്. So അതിൻ്റെ അകത്ത് ഏറ്റവും ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻ്റ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഫിക്ഷൻ ആണ്. So it's very important. You have to learn about the author. You have to learn about the story. You have to be familiar with the characters and the themes as well. ഇത്രയാണ് ഞാൻ ഇന്ന് ഇൻട്രൊഡ്യൂസ് ചെയ്യാനായിട്ട് ശ്രമിക്കുന്നത്. I don't know. This is very difficult because I only have 2.5 hours and I have to finish a lot of things. Okay, so I'll try my best to simplify it for you. So I'll share my PPT first. ഞാൻ ഒരു ചെറിയ presentation പോലെയാണ് ഉണ്ടാക്കിയിട്ടുള്ളത്. Just look into it so that you can understand the basic things. I'll be telling you more than what is there in the PPT. Okay, so be very much attentive. വളരെ attentive ആയിട്ടിരിക്കുക, എങ്കിലേ കാര്യങ്ങൾ നന്നായിട്ട് മനസ്സിലാവും. Because these are works which are very much എന്താണ് വളരെയധികം തിങ്കിങ് പ്രോസസ് വേണ്ടി വരുന്ന നോവൽസ് ആണ്. ഓക്കെ, സോ ലെറ്റ്സ് ബിഗിൻ. ഞാൻ എൻ്റെ സ്ക്രീൻ ഷെയർ ചെയ്യാം. ജസ്റ്റ് എ സെക്കൻഡ്. ഞാൻ സ്പീഡിൽ പോകുന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിലോ ഇഫ് യു ഹാവ് എനി ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് എന്തെങ്കിലും ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ പറയാം. ഞാൻ ചാറ്റ് ഇവിടെ ഓപ്പൺ ആക്കിയിട്ടേക്കും. ഓക്കെ, I hope you can see my screen. Can some of you respond if you can see my screen? I don't know whether you are able to send messages. നിങ്ങൾക്ക് എല്ലാവർക്കും സെൻഡ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുന്നുണ്ടോ എന്ന് എനിക്ക് അറിയില്ല. Yes, okay, great. So we'll start with Death in Venice. Okay. So പേപ്പറിന്റെ പേര് യൂറോപ്യൻ ഫിക്ഷൻ ആണെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു. We'll be dealing with 2 novels. First one is a novella. Okay, novella എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ it's not as short as a short story, but not as long as a novel. നോവലിന്റെ അത്രയും നീളവും ഇല്ല, ഷോർട്ട് സ്റ്റോറിയുടെ അത്രയും ചെറുതുമല്ല. It comes in between. അതിന്റെ ഇടയിൽ വരുന്ന ഒരു ലെങ്ത്തിൽ വരുന്നതിനാണ് നമ്മൾ എന്ത് വിളിക്കുക, നോവല്ല എന്ന് വിളിക്കുക. So the first one is Death in Venice. So Death in Venice എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് it is a novella. It is written by Thomas Mann. Okay, Thomas Mann ആണ്. Thomas Mann is a German writer. So I'll introduce you to the author first, and then we'll go to the plot summary. What is the plot is all about, and then we'll discuss the characters involved, and then the themes, major themes. ഇത്രയാണ് ഞാൻ ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുന്നത്. Okay. So first we have to talk about Thomas Mann. Okay. ഞാൻ ആദ്യം കുറച്ച് കാര്യങ്ങൾ പറഞ്ഞു തരാം മാനിനെ കുറിച്ച്. So he's an important figure of early 20th century literature, a major figure of early 20th century literature. He was born in 1875 in Lübeck, Germany. അവിടെയാണ് ജനിക്കുന്നത്. And he's famous for both his fiction as well as critical essays. He has written novels as well as critical essays, and he was born in a very distinguished merchant family. ഒരു merchant ഫാമിലിയിലാണ് ജനിക്കുന്നത്. As the son of a senator and merchant. Okay, so he was born in a merchant family, and that had a great literary lineage. അതായത് പാരമ്പര്യമായിട്ട് ലിറ്റററി ലീനിയേജ് ഉള്ള ഒരു ഫാമിലിയിലാണ് ജനിക്കുന്നത്. So his older brother, Thomas Mann's older brother, his name was Heinrich. Okay, Heinrich. He also became a very famous novelist and also a playwright. So Mann, he had great interest in the German philosophers like Arthur Schopenhauer and also Friedrich Nietzsche. Nietzscheയും ഷോപ്പൻഹോറും ആയിട്ടൊക്കെ വളരെ ഇൻട്രസ്റ്റ് ഉള്ള അവരുടെ ഫിലോസഫീസ് ഒക്കെ വളരെ ഇൻഫ്ലുവൻസ് ചെയ്ത ഒരാളായിരുന്നു തോമസ് മാൻ. And their theories very much deeply influenced him, and it also reflected in his writings. Okay, writings il കാണാൻ പറ്റുമായിരുന്നു. So he had 6 children. He wanted a career in journalism, and he attended this university called Maximilian's University, Maximilian's University of Munich. Avadeyana attended. That's college where he went. Then he first worked for South German fire insurance company from 1894 to 1895, and then he settled in US in 1938 after having lived in France and Switzerland. It's like a basic information about his life. Now, when we talk about his novels, okay, novels his fiction or his novels, they are characterized by philosophical examination. Philosophy novels. So they are philosophical examination of both ideas and characters. Characters in the island, ideas in the island, we can see a lot of philosophical dimensions. And we can see detached and also ironic narrative voice. And the narrator, narrator, he will have a detached voice. Okay, he will be detached. He will have an ironic narrative voice. And his stories, almost every one of them, ends tragically. Stories, they are ending in a very much tragic condition. Or catastrophe like end. And most of his novels, they have the theme of the conflict between art and life. Okay, art and life തമ്മിലുള്ള conflict ആണ് മിക്ക വർക്സിലും നമുക്ക് കാണാനായിട്ട് പറ്റുന്നത്. And so in almost all of his novels, we can see the conflict between art and life. And his major novel, the first novel that he has written, it was called Buddenbrooks. Okay, epic Buddenbrooks. You can see it here. Epic Buddenbrooks. So this was the first novel that he was written. It was published in the year 1901, and then he has written other short stories like Tonio Kroger, novel Death in Venice, which was published in the year 1912. 1912 Death in Venice, which is the novel that you have to study. So these are the important works that he has written. Buddenbrooks ആണ് first major work that he has written, which was published in the year 1901. And he has written a short story, Tonio Kroger. And the culmination, the last novel written by Thomas Mann is Death in Venice. Death in Venice is a culmination of Mann's work on the theme. This particular theme, the conflict between art and life. And his later works include, we can see social, political, biblical, and legendary themes. Magic Mountain. The Magic Mountain is a very important book. So he's the author of Magic Mountain, which is published in the year 1924. Then we have Early Soul, Mario and the Magician. And then he has written a series of 4 novels entitled Joseph and His Brothers, Dr. Faustus, The Confessions of Felix Krull, and Confidence Man. These are just novels. All the contributions to German literature. He has written. Okay, all these are novels he has written. So Death in Venice is the last culmination, which marks the theme on the conflict between life and art. That's the last novel on Death in Venice, which was published in the year 1912. Then his later works include social, political, biblical, and legendary themes. Magic Mountain is a very important book. Then he has written Early Sorrow, Mario and the Magician. Joseph and His Brothers, Dr. Faustus. Then Confessions of Felix Krull. Then we have Confidence Man. Now, when it comes to Death in Venice, Death in Venice, I know where Mann was awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1929. 1929 Nobel Prize. So it was principally in recognition with his famous work, Buddenbrooks. Buddenbrooks is an epic work in the Nobel Prize. So the starting of his career was with a short story called Little Mr. Friedman. Short story. Now, when it comes to his writings, all the writings in the Muruvan contribution, his writing style can be described as formal writing style. It is filled with humor, then irony, and also satire. His writings are deep, philosophical, meaningful, very much contemplative writings. And the minds of 20th century. So his writings are very much commended not only in Germany but also all around the world. Praise a writer Thomas Mann. Now, when we talk about why he's so famous, his works are highly symbolic. Okay, the stories in that they are highly symbolic, they are ironic, and also they are epic novels and novellas. It talks about the psychology of the artist and the intellectual. Okay, we get to know about there is a conflict between the art and the life. Art and life in the conflict, and also we go deep into the psychology of the artist. Artist in the psychology എന്താണെന്ന് മനസ്സിലാക്കാനായിട്ട് പറ്റുന്നതാണ്. So he was heavily influenced by German and biblical stories. ഇതൊക്കെ വളരെയധികം influenced ആയിരുന്നു. He modernized some of it and he draw ideas from Goethe, Nietzsche and also Schopenhauer. ആളുടെയൊക്കെ theories, philosophies ഒക്കെയാണ് എന്ത് ചെയ്യുന്നത്, ബോറോ ചെയ്തിട്ടുള്ളത്. Now, is it clear till now? ഇതിൻ്റെ അകത്ത് എന്തെങ്കിലും ഡൗട്ട് ഉണ്ടോ ഞാൻ ഇത്രയും പറഞ്ഞ കാര്യത്തിൽ? Do you have any doubt till now? If you have any questions, എന്തെങ്കിലും ഒന്നുകൂടെ എടുത്ത് പറയണമെന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ പറയാം. Just let me know. Is it okay till now? Yeah, okay, fine. So now we are moving on to the novel that we have to study, which is Death in Venice. Death in Venice എന്ന് പറയുന്ന നോവലാണ്, which was published in the year 1912. 1912 ഇത് പബ്ലിഷ് ചെയ്തേക്കുന്നത്. So it's written by, it's a novella, it's written by Thomas Mann, published in German. Germanല് ഈ ഒരു ടൈറ്റിലാണ് പബ്ലിഷ് ചെയ്തേക്കുന്നത് in 1912. So it's a symbol-laden story, symbolic ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു സ്റ്റോറിയാണ് about aestheticism and also decadence. ഇതിനെ കുറിച്ചൊക്കെയാണ് പറയുന്നത്. So it also talks about man's, it's a best known novella. Okay, man's ഏറ്റവും അറിയപ്പെട്ടിട്ടുള്ള നോവലാണ്. And it talks about it also draws some of the important theories from Sigmund Freud's writing. Sigmund Freud's writings കുറെ theories ഇതിനകത്ത് യൂട്ടിലൈസ് ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്. So Death in Venice എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് it's a very important work. It talks about art and the artist. ആർട്ടിനെ കുറിച്ചും ആർട്ടിസ്റ്റിനെ കുറിച്ചുമാണ് പറയുന്നത്. So it was largely inspired by actual events in the life of the author. ഓഥറിന്റെ ലൈഫിൽ നടന്ന ആക്ച്വൽ ഇവന്റ്സിനെ ബേസ് ചെയ്തിട്ടാണ് ഇതിനകത്ത് വരുന്നത്. And it is also about homoeroticism or homosexuality. അതിനെ കുറിച്ചും കൂടെയാണ് ഇതിനകത്ത് സംസാരിക്കുന്നത്. So it was not Thomas Mann. Thomas Mann അല്ല ഇതിനെക്കുറിച്ച് ആദ്യം ഹ്യൂമൻ കുറിച്ചും ഹോമോസെക്ഷുവാലിറ്റിനെ കുറിച്ചും ആദ്യമായിട്ട് സംസാരിച്ചിട്ടുള്ളത്. We have Dorian Gray. You remember that play, right? It was written by Oscar Wilde. Oscar Wildeന്റെ The Picture of Dorian Gray എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് it also talks about എന്താണ് അങ്ങനത്തെ ഒരു ഹോമോഎറോട്ടിസത്തിന്റെ തീം നമുക്ക് കാണാനായിട്ട് പറ്റും. So it is not the theme. The writer himself is a homosexual author. He is a homosexual author. So ഈ ഒരു ഹോമോസെക്ഷുവാലിറ്റി അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഹോമോഎറോട്ടിസത്തിന്റെ ഒരു തീം വരുന്ന ഓസ്കർ വൈൽഡ്, റൈറ്റ്. സോ ആ ഒരു തീം വരുന്ന ഒരു നോവലാണ് ഡെത്ത് ഇൻ വെനീസ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. So it is set in Venice. Venice എന്ന് പറയുന്ന സ്ഥലത്താണ് സെറ്റ് ചെയ്തിരിക്കുന്നത്. in an island called Lido. Okay, Lido. Lido എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ഒരു ഐലൻഡിലാണ് ഇത് സെറ്റ് ചെയ്തിരിക്കുന്നത്. And it is set during the 1905 cholera outbreak. ആ സമയത്തും കൂടെ ഉള്ളതാണ്. So you can call it as love in the time of cholera എന്ന് നമുക്ക് വേണമെങ്കിൽ വേറൊരു ടൈറ്റിലിൽ വിളിക്കാൻ പറ്റും. കാരണം so it talks about we have a character here, Gustav von Aschenbach. Aschenbach എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ഒരു ഓഥറിനെ കുറിച്ചാണ് ഇതിനകത്ത് പഠിക്കാനുള്ളത്. So he's the main protagonist or the central character of this novel. ഈ നോവലിലെ central character അല്ലെങ്കിൽ main protagonistന്റെ പേരാണ് Gustav von Aschenbach. So he's a revered author and whose work is known for its discipline and also formal perfection. So Gustav von Aschenbach is a perfectionist. Okay, so he's a very revered writer. Okay, he's a revered writer whose work is full of discipline. Okay, discipline, dignity, perfectionism. ഇതെല്ലാം കൊണ്ടുവരുന്ന ഒരു റൈറ്റർ ആണ് ആഷൻബാക്ക് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. So this is the main story. ഇത് ഇത്രയുമാണ് ഇതിന്റെ മെയിൻ പ്ലോട്ട് ലൈൻ. I'll give you a detailed plot line, but just to make sure you get through what the story is all about. അതിനു വേണ്ടിയിട്ടാണ് ഇത് പ്ലേസ് ചെയ്തേക്കുന്നത്. So Gustav von Aschenbach എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഒരു revered author ആണ് whose work is known for its discipline and also perfection ഒക്കെ വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് അറിയപ്പെടുന്ന ഒരു ഓഥർ ആണ് Gustav von Aschenbach. So when he was strolling past a cemetery, ഒരു cemetery കൂടെ നടന്നു വരുന്ന സമയത്ത് he encountered a traveling stranger. ഒരു സ്ട്രേഞ്ചറിനെ കണ്ടു and he had a sudden desire to travel to the Mediterranean region. അപ്പോൾ അവിടോട്ട് ട്രാവൽ ചെയ്യാനായിട്ടുള്ള sudden desire ഉണ്ടായി. So what happened is that he went to Venice. Veniceil പോയി, Veniceil ഒരു ഹോട്ടലാണ് താമസിക്കുന്നത് and he encounters a Polish family there. Okay, ഒരു Polish ഫാമിലിനെ കാണുന്നു. This particular Polish family has a mother Then she has a son, and also there are 3 daughters, and also a governess. Governess, the Polish family. So this Polish family includes a very strikingly handsome young teenager. Its name is Tatsio. Tatsio എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് ഒരു strikingly young and handsome teenager അതിൻ്റെ അകത്തുണ്ട്. A family, Polish ഫാമിലിയിലെ എന്താണ് അതിൻ്റെ അകത്തൊരു മദർ ഉണ്ട്. മദറിന്റെ സൺ ആണ് ആരെന്ന് പറയുന്നത്, ടാറ്റ്സിയോ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. So Aschenbach, he's very much disturbed by this attraction. He feels an attraction towards this particular young boy. He's only 14 years old. So you can talk about in our contemporary scenario, we can talk about how predatory and also pedophilic that behavior is, because he's an old man. Okay, he's an old man, and this particular boy he's only 14 years old. So you know the age gap, and can be considered as pedophilia and also predatory behavior. So Aschenbach is very much disturbed by his attraction towards this particular boy. He's attracted to this boy, and he watches and also continuously pursues Tatsio. Okay, so he's going and he's pursuing Tatsio, but he does not have the courage to speak to him. Okay, he never go and meet and speak to him. He never does that. So the Venice at this particular time, it is set at a time when there is a cholera outbreak. Okay, there is a cholera outbreak happening. There is an epidemic. So even though Aschenbach knows about it, he doesn't go from Venice because the boy is here and he wants to stay here. So he sacrifices his dignity and also well-being in order to experience the beauty of this boy, okay, which is embodied by Tatsio. So he's a very handsome young man, and he's very much attracted towards Tatsio. So he stays there in Venice, even though he has a very ill health, and also he wants to stay there in order to see this boy and in order to pursue this boy. So after a significant look with the boy on the day of Tatsio's scheduled departure, okay, on the day when Tatsio is about to leave this particular hotel, what happens? Aschenbach dies of cholera. So this is the story, this is the plot or the synopsis of this particular novel. So we'll be talking about this in detail. So in this novel, he talks about the role of the artist in society. Okay, what is the role of artist in society? And this is a very cerebral work, one which gives you a lot of thoughts. So it is talking about how an artist is when in outward manner he might be following a lot of discipline and endurance, but in private he has a lot of desires that might be overwhelming him. So Thomas Mann himself was a homosexual. Okay, Thomas Mann himself was a homosexual. So even though he got married and he had 6 kids, he was a homosexual and he repressed his desire. Okay, he repressed his desire. So he conveyed his desire through this particular novel, which was itself a true story. Okay, so is it clear till now? Is it okay? And we'll move on to the detailed summary. Yeah, okay. If you have any questions, do let me know. So before moving on to the story, let me give you an introduction to the characters. We have Gustav von Aschenbach, we have Tatsio, and we have Jaschu. These are the 3 characters in this novella. So I already mentioned Gustav von Aschenbach. He's an aging writer. He's an old man. He's an aging writer. He's honorable. He's fastidious. He's very repressed of high public status in Germany, and he travels to Venice and he stays in this hotel where there's beautiful boy. His name is Tatsio. He's a guest also in this particular hotel, and he has a repressed sexuality. He had a family and now he's a widower. He was a young widower and he had repressed his sexuality, and he falls in love with Tatsio, who's the symbol of ideal beauty. Okay, he's a symbol of ideal beauty. And now what happens is that even though he had repressed his desire, now he's abandoning all morality, all dignity, and he's trying to achieve his passion. Okay, he's abandoning all passion, decadence, and ultimately it causes his death. Okay, then we have the Tatsio. Tatsio is he's ideal beauty according to Gustav von Aschenbach. Okay, he's a beautiful, polished boy. He's only 14 years old. He stays with his mother, sisters, and also governess. He has 3 sisters, and then he has a governess. Governess is a teacher. Okay, they are staying at the same hotel, and Tadzio is pure and innocent. Okay, but he is also aware of Aschenbach's interest in him. And then we have another character, Jashu. Jashu is the closest companion of Tadzio. Tadzio's closest companion at the hotel, and he seems to idolize Tatsu. Okay, they have a very close bond or a close relationship. So he's acting as his vassal, just like a very close companion. And Jashu has glossy black hair. He's a sturdy build. He's very strong, and he has a rowdy temperament. And they are polar opposites. Okay, they are antidote. They are just opposites to Tatsuo. Okay, Jashu and Tatsuo are both opposite in their nature as well as their character, everything. Okay, so these are the 3 characters that you have to study. Now I'll go through the important events that you have to study in each chapter. So it is divided into 5 chapters. Okay, the novella, it comprises of 5 chapters through which all the events are mentioned. So in the first chapter, what happens? I'll tell you. So Gustav von Aschenbach, he is the central protagonist or the central character of this novel. He's an aging man. Okay, he's an aging man. He's a nationally renowned writer. Okay, very important writer. He's living alone in Munich. Okay, where is he living? Munich. He's living in Munich. So he's a very famous, he's a well-respected German author. So he's living in Munich alone. So the year is unspecified. We don't know the year as such. It's not specified in the novel, but according to the historical details, we can see that in Venice, the cholera outbreak might have happened in 1905. So we are placing the date in 1905. Okay, so he's an aging, nationally renowned writer, and he's living in Munich. So the year is unspecified. It might be the early 1900s. So 1905 or early 1900s. And it is mentioned in the book that the year, it was so grave a threat seemed to have over the peace of Europe. Okay, it was a threat to the peace of Europe. This is how it is being mentioned in the novel. So one morning, what happened is that this central protagonist, Gustav, okay, I'll call him Gustav from now on. So Gustav, he was walking. Okay, so he was walking and in order to get a rest from his demanding session of writing. So he was writing all the time. So he was very tired from writing all morning, and he decided to take a walk one afternoon. So what happened is that he was going for a walk in order to clear his mind. Okay, he wanted to clear his mind, so he decided to take a walk. So a storm was happening there, a small storm was happening there, and the writer was turning homeward. Okay, he was going back home. So suddenly he passed through empty street. It was an empty street, and he passed through the headstones. Okay, there was headstones for sale. What is a headstone? What you can see in a graveyard. So the headstone were in sale. And he stopped to read the gilt lettering on Byzantine mortuary. So there was a mortuary there, and there in it there was written something about afterlife. Okay, so he was passing through the empty street, and he passed through the stonemason's yard. Okay, stonemason's yard, where he saw a lot of headstones. Headstones അവിടെ ഇരിപ്പുണ്ട് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ മരിച്ച ആൾക്കാർക്ക് കല്ലറ പോലെ വെക്കാനായിട്ട് headstones അവിടെ ഉണ്ട്. അത് സെയിലിന് വെച്ചേക്കുന്നത് കണ്ടു. And also he was it was resembling a graveyard. ഒരു graveyard പോലെയാണ് തോന്നി. ആ സ്റ്റോൺ മേസന്റെ യാർഡ് കണ്ടപ്പോൾ അതൊരു graveyard പോലെ ആൾക്ക് തോന്നി. And then he stops to read the Byzantine mortuary chapel. അവിടെ ഒരു ചാപ്പൽ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. ആ ചാപ്പലിന്റെ അവിടെ എന്തിനെ കുറിച്ച് എഴുതിയിട്ടുണ്ട്? ആഫ്റ്റർ ലൈഫിനെ കുറിച്ച് എഴുതിയിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. And suddenly what happened is that he notices a very unusual man. ഒരു unusual ആയിട്ടുള്ള മാനിനെ അവിടെ കാണുന്നുണ്ട്. So he suddenly notices a strange looking man and he has red hair. Okay, ആൾക്ക് red hair ആണുള്ളത്. And he's dressed as a tourist. ഒരു ടൂറിസ്റ്റിനെ പോലെയാണ്. He's a foreign looking man. Okay, foreign seeming man ആയിട്ട് മാനിനെ അവിടെ വെച്ച് കാണുന്നു. So the man has a grimace. Okay, he has a grimace in his face. ഒരു പുച്ഛം, ഒരു disgust പോലുള്ളൊരു feeling ആളുടെ മുഖത്ത് കാണാനായിട്ട് പറ്റുന്നുണ്ട്. And he also is displaying his long white teeth and also gums. അത് കാണാനായിട്ട് പറ്റുന്നുണ്ട്. Long white teeth and gums. And Aschenbach suddenly realizes that this man is staring back at him aggressively. അപ്പം Aschenbach ഉടനെ മനസ്സിലാക്കുന്നുണ്ട്, ഗുസ്താവ് മനസ്സിലാക്കുന്നുണ്ട്, he is looking at him with disgust. ഒരു ഡിസ്ഗസ്റ്റോട് കൂടി ഒരുമാതിരിയാണ് നോക്കുന്നതെന്ന് മനസ്സിലായി. So the meeting comes to nothing. Okay, the meeting, it doesn't have any significance, but Aschenbach has a sudden desire to travel. പെട്ടെന്ന് travel ചെയ്യാനുള്ള ഒരു മൂഡ് ഉണ്ടായി. Okay, so ഇത്രയും നടന്നതെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഗുസ്താവ് ആഷൻബാക്ക്, he's a very well respected nationally renowned writer ആണ്. He's living alone in Munich, and he suddenly goes for a walk in one afternoon after having a very demanding session of writing. വളരെയധികം ഭയങ്കരമായിട്ടും എഴുതി തളർന്നിട്ട് രാവിലെ മുഴുവൻ എഴുതുമായിരുന്നു, വൈകുന്നേരം he went for a walk. There he suddenly sees a strange looking man, ഒരു മനുഷ്യനെ കണ്ടു. He was standing on the portico of a church. ഒരു ചർച്ചിന്റെ ഫ്രണ്ടിലായിട്ട് നിൽക്കുമായിരുന്നു. ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞില്ലേ, ബൈസെന്റൈൻ മോർച്ചറി ചാപ്പൽ, ആ ചാപ്പലിന്റെ ഫ്രണ്ടിൽ നിൽക്കുവാണ്. അവിടെ ആഫ്റ്റർ ലൈഫിനെ കുറിച്ചൊക്കെ എഴുതിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. So he was standing on the portico of a church, and he had a red hair and he had an unusual appearance ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. And suddenly what happened was that this man was looking at him very strangely. Strange ആയിട്ടുള്ള രീതിയിലാണ് ആൾ നോക്കിയത്. He had a grimace in his face, and also he was displaying his long white teeth and also gums. And Aschenbach suddenly realizes that this man is looking at Aschenbach very aggressively. ഒരു aggressive ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു ടോണിലാണ് നോക്കുന്നതെന്ന് മനസ്സിലായി. And Aschenbach suddenly has this realization that he want to travel. പെട്ടെന്ന് travel ചെയ്യാനുള്ള ഒരു sudden urge അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒരു sudden desire അയക്കുണ്ടായി. He wants to go to a far away place. He want to go somewhere else എന്നുള്ള ഒരു desire അയക്കുണ്ടായി. Okay, so ഇത്രയും important ആയിട്ട് വരുന്നുണ്ട്. Now what happens is that so he had always been extremely disciplined. വളരെ disciplined ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു ലൈഫാണ് ജീവിക്കുന്നത് ആര്, ഗുസ്താവ് വോൺ ആഷൻബാക്ക്. And also he craved an escape from his work because he hasn't taken leave or vacation for a long period of time. Okay, കുറെ കാലമായിട്ട് ഇത്രയും ഭയങ്കരമായിട്ട് ഹാർഡായിട്ട് വർക്ക് ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുകയാണ്. So he wanted a break from this. Okay, he wanted to take up some time for vacation. So he decided he needed an exotic atmosphere, and he planned to go somewhere in the south of Europe. ഇപ്പൊ യൂറോപ്പിന്റെ സൗത്ത് ഭാഗത്തായിട്ട് എവിടെയെങ്കിലും പോകാമെന്ന് ആള് വിചാരിക്കുന്നു. Okay, so this is the first chapter. First chapter ന്റെ ഇനി കുറച്ച് കാര്യങ്ങൾ കൂടെ ഉണ്ട്. So he sees his daydream. ഒരു daydream കൂടെ കാണുന്നുണ്ട് ഫസ്റ്റ് ചാപ്റ്ററിന്റെ അകത്ത്, അതും കൂടെ പറയുന്നുണ്ട്. Where he dreams about or he has a vision about a tropical swampland. ഒരു tropical ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു swampland which is symbolic of fertility and decay and eroticism and grotesque. ഇതിന്റെ രണ്ടിന്റെയും കോമ്പിനേഷൻ ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു സ്ഥലമാണ് ആള് കാണുന്നത്. ഓക്കെ, വിഷൻ ആയിട്ട് ഒരു ഡേ ഡ്രീമിൽ കാണുന്നു a swampland. Okay, a tropical swampland. അതുപോലൊരു സ്ഥലം ഇയാൾ കാണുന്നുണ്ട്, which is full of it is a combination of fertility and decay and eroticism and grotesque. So he quickly masters a state of a wanderlust. ഒരു wanderlustന്റെ ഒരു പെട്ടെന്നുള്ളൊരു ഐഡിയ ഇയാൾക്ക് ഉണ്ടാവുകയാണ്. He wanted to travel somewhere എന്നുള്ളൊരു ഐഡിയ പെട്ടെന്ന് ആൾക്കുണ്ടാവുന്നു. So when we talk about him, ഇനി ആളെക്കുറിച്ച് നമ്മൾ സംസാരിക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ when we talk about Aschenbachനെ കുറിച്ച് പറയുമ്പോൾ he believes in perfectionism. Okay, Aschenbach is a person who believes in perfectionism. He wants all the art. He has all the artistic talent. എല്ലാ artistic talent ഉണ്ട്. And he believes that excessive passion, okay, കൂടുതലായിട്ടുള്ള passion ഉണ്ടാവുകയാണെങ്കിൽ it can be an